The Indianapolis situation was a disaster, so if you're Frank Reich, you probably want to look for the next few seasons. Maybe if you're going to sign him as to where his mindset is. If he's coming to compete for a starting job, I don't want him anywhere near a young quarterback who's already got the job. I think the spot for Wentz is to be a backup to an established starter, someone he's not going to be able to disrupt, someone where he understands his place in the hierarchy. You're only getting in due to an injury or a blowout. You are not here competing for a job. I don't think you want him in Jacksonville. He has shown repeatedly that for some reason inside these locker rooms there's always a division where some guys stand up for him and some guys seem to dislike him. We've never really gotten the full story on what it is, but in Philly there was a problem. Jim Irsay couldn't get him out of Indianapolis fast enough. Washington, who doesn't even have a QB, couldn't move on from him fast enough. So I wouldn't want him anywhere near my culture if I've got a culture heading in the right direction. And Jacksonville's heading in the right direction. If I'm Doug Peterson, it is a hard pass. You've got Trevor Lawrence. If he goes down, you're cooked anyway. Stay the course. You don't need to mess around with Carson Wentz.
But Peterson's the one guy that there wasn't a problem with when he did have Carson Wentz. So I don't know if he could conjure up some of that magic once again. But to your point, I'm not sure he needs to, because we're not talking about Wentz being a starting quarterback. We're just talking about a backup. And maybe he doesn't need to bother with any of that since he has Trevor Lawrence. He can kind of look elsewhere for a backup and not take on that level of scrutiny that's going to come with reestablishing that relationship. Joe and Amber's on ESPN Radio. Coming up next, is Drake to blame for Jake Paul's loss to Tommy Fury yesterday? We're going to get into it. This is ESPN Radio. You can also listen to us on the ESPN app.
The ACC men's basketball tournament. The Big 12 men's semifinals and championship. The madness is coming. Both right here on ESPN Radio. You can also listen on the ESPN app and on your smart speaker.
Anyone who has ever needed self-storage knows what a hassle it can be. You have to rent or borrow a truck and then find someone to help you move your stuff. And let's face it, moving furniture and heavy items without damaging them isn't easy. Renting a unit is worse. The hidden fees and admin costs are scarier than the dingy facilities you're leaving your stuff in. Why not use Closet Box instead? Closet Box is self-storage without leaving home. They'll pick up your belongings, store them securely, and bring any item back when you need it. The best part? Unlike traditional self-storage, you only pay for what you store. No paying for unused storage space. Closet Box's background check storage movers are licensed, bonded, and insured and will take care of all of the heavy lifting. Closet Box's local storage centers are temperature controlled and monitored 24/7. Closet Box has an A+ rating from the BBB. Call 877-233-5696 now for the season's best rates. Get $50 off first month storage using code RADIO50. That's 877-233-5696. 877-233-5696.
The new year is here. Time for a change. Start a recession-resistant new career in the high-demand IT field with My Computer Career. In just months, already in IT, build your cybersecurity skills and prep for thousands of open positions employers nationwide are desperate to fill. Attend classes live online or on campus, and financial aid is available to those who qualify, including the GI Bill. Make this your year. Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. That's mycomputercareer.edu.
Speed City F1 is on Sirius XM with John Massengale, Les Kaiser, Jonathan Green, and F1 broadcast veteran Bob Farshaw. The team is live, pre- and post-coverage of every Formula One race, taking you along for the ride with the latest news, expert race analysis, and much more. Plus, dive deep with the biggest names in racing. It's Speed City F1 on Sirius XM. Visit SiriusXM.com for details. Brought to you by CrowdStrike. Stop today's most sophisticated cyber attacks at the office, the racetrack, and everywhere in between. Learn more at CrowdStrike.com/XM.
Owner-operators, take your business to the next level in 2023. A mission truck to save on fuel and maintenance costs. SFI has new trucks in stock with more on the way, including 2024 models that are sure to keep you moving and profitable. Choose from the most popular brands and take advantage of money-saving features, warranty protection, and flexible lease terms. Check out all your options at sfitrucks.com. That's sfitrucks.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-579-6184 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-579-6184. That's 800-579-6184. What do you have to lose? Call 800-579-6184. Again, 800-579-6184.
You're listening to Sirius XM Radio. Hear every NFL game all the way through the Super Bowl right here on Sirius XM and the SXM app.
I think a lot of teams are taking that approach.
The CJ McCollum Show. Listen wherever you get your podcast.
About Joe Fortbach, not his betting advice. That's impressive as well. Not his television work. Okay, not his presence on Daily Wager. Not even here on Joe and Amber, his contributions on air. But instead, the rate at which he gets dressed for radio out of his television getup that he's wearing for Daily Wager to do this show is wildly impressive, because Joe gets off air on the Daily Wager. He gets to radio within like 60, like he gets here, there's like 60 seconds, 90 seconds I think today is when you sat down at the mic. We had 90 seconds before we were going live. And you're like trying to like get your tie off and sit down, can't even pull up the Zoom in time, you're discombobulated. Then you have to wait for the next commercial break to actually go change your clothes, because anybody that's done TV knows it ain't the same as radio. Nobody wants to sit around in television clothes when you're on the radio.
My ability to go from TV to radio seamlessly and deliver elite content right out of the bat. Greenberg should take notes, because Greenberg does the same thing. But I'll tell you,
no, he doesn't do the same thing though. He literally does get up, and then he also has like 90 seconds, but he just sits down and does radio in his same getup.
He's lazy. He's lazy. He just stays in the same seat like some lazy slob and doesn't even have to move. No. I'm at home today, so I also lazy slob. But when I'm at the studio, I have to go from studio 1 to studio 2. They time me. It takes about 7.1 seconds. That's athleticism right there. You want to talk combine drills? That's a guy making a play to be ready for the start of the radio show. And you know I always come in hot. You always do an excellent job getting it set, so I appreciate that. I do appreciate that, Amber Wilson.
Well, I appreciate you for getting here each and every day, even if there are days.
You're always on the verge of like a panic attack that I'm not going to make it, right?
Right, like I've tried to lessen that over time now. I've gotten more used to it. Like James seemed a little rattled today. At one point, James just...
Same as shopping in store. Same low prices, deals, and rewards.
Joe Flacco, that it ended up well for him. I could just see him saying, you know what, we're not going to give this guy what we want. We'll figure out, we'll go get another quarterback somewhere. With Dak, I mean, you got to think about with Dak, if Dak tries to hold these guys up, could they go for another short-term deal? You know?
I mean, ideally, I think that'd be the smart play.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Dak, when Dak played it short last time. Could you see him do it again?
For both parties, that'd be smart.
Yeah.
It's tough to see things just on one side, because the Cowboys see all kinds of great players doing deals that are more team friendly to make room, but you can't believe if you're Dak that they're going to help you if you do take a team-friendly deal. So I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised at all, because last time we heard over and over again that the Cowboys had to have a lot of internal discussions about how sold they were, and then it was obviously a huge sticking point 4 to 5 years for them because it took them so long to get through it. I wouldn't be surprised if this round of negotiations ends in a way that sort of signals the end is near. You know, maybe this will be the last deal that we get if they do in fact do that extension that Steve's talking about. Okay, we are live at spring training. You hear the leaf blower in the background. It's a tradition unlike any other. We haven't been here since 2020. It's amazing. Last time we were here, it was right in the middle as everything was getting going. And the next thing you know, the whole stadium was shut down. We could barely even get to the broadcast booth to do a show. Had to cut to the Rangers clubhouse, which nearly got us banned from spring training permanently. So a lot of memories here, a lot of good times. But you hear that leaf blower, and that means only one thing. We're broadcasting from the press box at Surprise Stadium, and we're excited about these Rangers getting to work and showing us what they got. Okay, basketball. What role is the Mavs coach playing in the big fail of the offseason? I know he's quite a scapegoat, taking a lot of criticism. I've been a big fan. Let's discuss that next here in the G-Bag Nation. I want to chat D&M Leasing, though. Oh, if you need or want a new vehicle right now, you're heading home. I know you're looking forward maybe a nice little dinner, hanging out with the kids. Maybe you're going out with the buddies. I don't know. It's Monday. I'm not judging at all. But I do know if you want or need a new vehicle, time is important. And, you know, cruising around town, trying to find a great deal, trying to find the vehicle you want, that can take a lot of time and end up costing you a lot more money than what you can do with the Easy Lease from D&M Leasing, my preferred way of acquiring new vehicles. I have 2 in my driveway every night, and I just love D&M for the ease of operation they've allowed me over the last decade when it comes to getting new vehicles. You just call them and tell them what you want, and they will deliver it. They'll give you the highest trade-in value possible, and you can sign the documents online with a smartphone app. It is so great. That's why they call it the Easy Lease. Now, the Easy Lease is more important than ever because in this rising interest rate environment that we're in, what traditional finance companies are doing with the purchases are going to 7 years, 84-month terms for a purchase, and you better be willing to stay in that car for a long, long time or else you'll be upside down when you try to sell it. So skip that whole deal. It's bad to be in negative equity land. I've been there before, and it's miserable because you have a car with high miles and you can't get out. So join the Easy Lease family if you haven't already. Any area code 35 lease, dmautoleasing.com.
Be a part of the show. Text us on the truckwreck.com fan text line, 877-881-1053. That's 877-881-1053.
Whether your dog is in their puppy, adult, or senior years, there's nothing better than more years together. And the best way to feed their happy, healthy life is with fresh, healthy food. The Farmer's Dog makes it easy to keep your best friend healthy inside and out with fresh recipes made from real meat and veggies. They're pre-portioned just for your pup and delivered right to your door. Help your dog live a healthy life and get 50% off your first box of real fresh food at thefarmersdog.com/healthieryears23.
Knife Plano is D Magazine's best steakhouse in Dallas. Top Chef's award-winning John T-Sar steaks are dry-aged in-house 45 to 240 days from local Texas ranchers for the highest quality beef. And Mexican Bar Company, the best happy hour in Plano, highlighting a 90-foot sports bar with 21 TVs of action within a restaurant creating authentic Mexican cuisine and handcrafted cocktails. Knife and Mexican Bar Company each feature private dining for up to 50. KnifePlano.com, MexBars.com, and thedistrictoilbend.com.
Diamonds Direct is great. It's the first jewelry place that I walked into and was blown away by.
Former pro football offensive tackle Mitch Schwartz talking about his jewelry store, Diamonds Direct.
You're getting the best quality and the most for your dollar, and I think Diamonds Direct does that as good as I've ever seen in the jewelry world.
Mitch and his wife, Brooke, love the selection, the quality, and the value at Diamonds Direct. But they also love the laid-back atmosphere and how the associates at Diamonds Direct really listen to their customers.
They're conscientious of educating you and understanding what your desires are and getting you the best value for what you're looking for. It was just a great environment, great atmosphere, making it easy to shop.
Diamonds Direct, proud to serve you with exceptional diamonds, handcrafted engagement rings, and fine designer jewelry.
We value our time, our money, and going to Diamonds Direct, knowing that they're going to value that as well, is a really special place to go to and to purchase jewelry from.
Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion. Get directions, store hours, and more at diamondsdirect.com.
Want to change the lives of children right here in our community? Donate your vehicle, boat, or motorcycle to cars4kids.org. As a thank you, we'll send you a $50 Visa gift card. So call 866-835-5437 or visit cars4kids.org and write off the car, not the kid.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year. Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer. Is this for real?
Apparently. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
I'm Bopper, founder and chairman of Burke America Parts Group, a family of brands that includes RepairClinic.com, an appliance and HVAC parts solution company that's grown into an international brand. Before AmericanEagle.com, we partially launched a new technology platform developed by another firm. American Eagle helped take our technology to a whole new level with digital marketing, software development, and business insights into our key markets, appliances, HVAC, and outdoor power equipment, and did so both on time and on budget. AmericanEagle.com has the resources, experience, and talent needed to produce solutions. Our new technology platform, developed by AmericanEagle.com, has produced tremendous results with higher traffic, conversion, engagement, and online revenue. If you have any home repairs you need to take care of, check us out at RepairClinic.com. If you need a world-class website or technology project, then I would highly recommend AmericanEagle.com.
Call AmericanEagle.com at 773-NETWORK. That's AmericanEagle.com, 773-NETWORK.
Tolos, Mike Bassick here. Buying a new vehicle is one thing, but buying a new vehicle from Southwest Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Cleburne is an experience. That's why I highly recommend you see for yourself and let General Manager Mike Brown and owner Stephen Gilchrist roll the red carpet out for you this month with the President's Day sales event. Let them help you like they've helped so many Tolos get their brand new Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Start the process now at southwestcdjrtexas.com and drive a little further, save a lot more at Southwest Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Mostly clear this evening, will be in the 50s overnight.
Weather brought to you by Jackson Hewitt. Beware of tax refund shock. Choose Jackson Hewitt for 50% off and your guaranteed biggest refund. Limited time offer for new clients. Visit jacksonhewitt.com/50 for terms.
The upcoming segment of The Fan is brought to you by Rockwall Ford.
Bobby Belt here, and Ford Truck Month is on at Rockwall Ford. Shop the Rock for rock bottom deals on all new trucks. Looking to custom order? Visit pre-order My F-150 and customize your truck your way. Don't miss Ford Truck Month at Rockwall Ford. Shop online at rockwallford.com.
The voices talking about the Mavs and letting Jason Kidd be louder and louder and more populous. Social media was all over him. TruckWreck.com fan text is open. What role is Jason Kidd playing in this massively disappointing season? 20 games to go. They've already reached their loss total from last season. Kevin O'Connor in the Ringer, senior NBA writer. I do respect his opinion. He's covered this league for a while. No team in history has won a championship with a bad defense, bad depth, and a bad coach. The Mavericks are not title contenders, was his take on that 27-point victory to loss exchange from yesterday. What do you guys think? Jason Kidd, you still down with him, or you think he's part of the problem now?
Man, I mean, he's certainly, when it comes to some of the decisions that have been made, namely the JaVale McGee decision, I think is one that we all sort of place on him, right? It's like that's one of his guys that he wanted to bring in, and that has certainly failed miserably. I don't want to be so out on him. I mean, it's weird because when he was initially signed and knowing all the stuff from his other stops as a head coach, I wasn't super excited about it. But then the way he was able to transform the team last year, particularly defensively, and get them to do what they did, and I don't think that they were getting to a Western Conference Western Conference Finals round, in spite of their coach last year. I think he was doing a lot of things that was super helpful. But then this time around, it's clearly not working. So he's certainly, as much as he was a part of the solution last season, I think he's a part of the problem this season. But I don't know, does that just make him a bad coach and that's it? Or with the way the team's constructed right now, he's not able to get out of his basketball team what he really wants, which is probably tougher defensive team, and he just doesn't have the horses for that. I don't know, but I don't want to just say he's a bad coach now when last year it seemed like he was a pretty dang good one.
Yeah, it's so bizarre to me how, and granted, now they've made the trade for Kyrie, so you don't have Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie, but last year compared to this year, you had essentially the same personnel, and yet you went from a top 10 defense to a bottom 5 defense. And it just, I don't know. There's something to be said about that. And Jason Kidd, the majority of last year, in the first part of it, he called the team out, and it was an effort issue, and then they completely turned it around. And they were one of the best defensive teams in all the NBA, and he gets all the credit for that. And he was pushing all the right buttons in the postseason run. I think it's too early for me to go ahead and just jump off of Jason Kidd and be like, hey, you need a different coach. You need a coaching change, especially with the Kyrie experiment.
Yeah.
You move on from Jason Kidd, kiss Kyrie goodbye. Now, maybe Kyrie's gone anyway, but that's definitely the only reason why you made a move like that, because of the Kidd-Kyrie relationship.
Yeah, no, I think there's a lot going into this. I do think the roster changed significantly. If you talk about taking Dorian and Kleba out and adding Kyrie and Christian Wood, now you've really, I mean, you had a formula that worked. I don't know if the ingredients are enough to play the style that Jason Kidd wants, and I think that might be where he's making his mistake, is not being flexible on that vision, trying to run the same system with significantly lesser defensive players. And maybe there is some stubbornness to that, you know, but I think he doesn't compromise his principles, and I think he's strong in his conviction, and sometimes that could be a short-term on the downside, but if you stick with it and you see what he did last year, I would say we can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We got to get Jason Kidd more good defensive players. And we had an identity. We didn't think the upside was enough, so we made some risks to get more talented, and it's stinging us. But I still really believe in Jason Kidd, Brian. How about you?
Yeah, I felt like there's a couple of things that happened last year. You caught a couple of teams in the playoffs that were really dysfunctional. You talked about the problems in Utah and then what Phoenix, what they were doing.
That's a great point.
So, you know, maybe you caught a little bit, you know, your team was kind of weathering the storm, pulling things together. You were playing well. You were winning games after the All-Star break. You know, you were more cohesive than the teams you were playing.
They were a full team last year.
Yeah, and so this year, though, I think you're kind of catching a little bit of an inexperienced general manager. I think you are. And maybe a guy that, you know, when you start to talk about making big or major moves, you know, he went out and he got Kyrie, great. You know, it hasn't paid off like he thought it would as far as with how Luka and Kyrie are playing together right now. But they dealt with some injuries. I totally agree with you, Gavin. I don't see Jason Kidd ever, like, giving up his principles about how he wants to play, how he wants to teach.
And that can make him great, but it could also frustrate people.
It absolutely could. And, you know, and he's probably looking at it right now, and like you said, you know, I don't know what can Nico do to walk in there and say, listen, especially if Mark's staying out of everything.
Yeah.
If Mark's staying out of it and letting Nico and Jason Kidd run this thing, then maybe the inexperienced general manager is giving him a little bit of problems that way. But I kind of felt like they caught some breaks along the way last year with the way that that thing ended up in the Western Conference Final.
And now this year, I mean, you talk about putting Tim Hardaway Jr. on the court a lot. Now your offensive identity is, hey, we're all going to share the ball, but really it's going to be Luka trying to find us open. Like, you had 8 guys who were down with that plan. Now you have Tim Hardaway Jr., who's just a little bit different. He wants to catch it and attack immediately instead of the old formula. Now you're going to put Kyrie Irving on the floor and Christian Wood on the floor, and you have so many good offensive players who are massive liabilities on defense, and I think it's very frustrating for Jason Kidd, and I bet he wants to blow up the roster and rebuild it with good defensive players. Now, this is a short sample size.
Yes.
You remember, maybe not everybody does, but 2011 when LeBron took his talents to South Beach, that first 15, 20 games was frustrating. You know, I forget how many they lost that year in a row, but I think at one point it hit like 5 or 6 in a row. And they're like, wow, how could we put together this Miami team with all these superstars and we're struggling? Because it takes not only the superstars to figure out each other, but where do all the role players fit? And now you're seeing role players who had this really nice niche where I get to be Luka's caddy. And now it's like, yeah, well, now there's Kyrie on the other side of the court. Your role has shifted significantly. Kyrie and Luka are quarter to quarter really inconsistent with who's running the show and who's supporting, and so their rhythm is different, you know, from what they are used to. And I want to get your guys' thoughts on that. Short sample size, give them another 10, 15 games, and let's maybe evaluate as we're coming down the final 2 weeks of the season and through the playoffs before we make a final answer.
I think that's a really interesting point that you made, because especially yesterday's game at the end, you know, a lot of people were upset about the lack of a timeout. And Jason Kidd's comments about, you know, maybe it's looking at it through the player's lens. Jason Kidd, when he's playing as a player, he doesn't want the coach to get involved. I'm running this offense. I'm running this team. Let me decide. If I need to take a timeout, if I think the team, we're not on the same page, I'll call that in the moment. Otherwise, I want to play in the flow of the game. Maybe he's thinking, I've got 2 high IQ players that I'm going to trust. I'm going to put my faith in these superstars, Kyrie and Luka, to figure this out. They weren't able to do it. But to your point here, Gavin, they haven't played together much. Yeah. Maybe it's just an unrealistic ask right now to put the ball in their court. And as a coach, you need to know that. And maybe you need to be more overbearing here, Jason Kidd, and because that's how you wanted it as a player, and maybe that's how you and Luka had been doing it. But now you need to realize these are 2 guys. They might not be quite on the same page. You're trying to figure it out. You're trying to work and try and get the chemistry together. You need to call a timeout. You need to kind of try and make the decisions for them instead of letting them figure it out on the floor.
Yeah, I like the idea of calling plays in those crunch situations, especially out of timeouts.
Yeah, well, they've been poor out of these timeouts. Like he's certainly, when you talk about the difference between him and Carlisle, I think Carlisle had a really good reputation with, hey, out of timeouts, he can dial something up. Jason Kidd doesn't feel like he's got that same skill set, at least not at this point. But there was times last year, too, where people were complaining about Jason Kidd needing to call up a timeout when teams go on a run. And I don't know if there's a philosophical thing. I don't know if it's a mind game thing that he's doing with his players. I don't know if it's him being almost defiant with, hey, you guys aren't doing anything to help yourselves. I'm not going to help you either. I'm going to watch you go drown here for a little while, and then we'll get back to the drawing board. But for this particular moment, this is a learning lesson for you. I don't know. Or maybe it's what you're saying, Walchuk. Maybe before the game, he's like, hey, I got a Kyrie and a Luka. And hopefully he's explaining this to them, and they're having these conversations. But it's like, you guys should be able to dictate some things. And I was waiting. I'm going, why wouldn't Luka or a Kyrie? And maybe Kyrie feels like, hey, I just got here. But wouldn't you, as a star player, take it upon yourself? I'm calling a dang timeout right now.
Sure. Super competitive, great Hall of Fame players. They can sometimes struggle, but other players aren't as smart, aren't as committed, aren't as present, aren't as focused on the task at hand. And sometimes they can struggle to communicate it. I know, this morning on Twitter, I saw people were comparing quotes that he made right near the end of Milwaukee, where he was talking about the immaturity of guys and how they needed to take it. And maybe, he was let go in the next year. They won 60 games, so I will continue to be open-minded. But last year, Jason Kidd he did such great things with this team. I think there's a lot to like here. And by far, the problem with this construction is in how it was put together, not in the head coach. I don't think any head coach in basketball history would come in and get this team playing so great that we'd be like, oh yeah, they're gonna win multiple playoff series. I think there's some pretty fatal construction here. But I brought up what he said about the Bucks to give you his quotes. He said, I'm not the savior here. I'm watching, I'm not playing, I'm just watching just like you guys. We have to mature, we have to grow up if we want to win a championship. And he mentioned being distracted by the whistle, which was no doubt about Luka. 2.5 quarters were playing at a high level on both ends, but with the Lakers, what they showed us is it's a race. It's not the rabbit who wins, it's the turtle. And they worked the game. That's where we have to get to. We have to get better at working the game, and we will. And, I hope this team is ready for it. But what he's talking about is every single set, everybody do their job and trust that if we're optimizing and increasing our probabilities with all of our actions and positioning, that after 100 possessions, we will have, salvaged and scraped together enough percentage points on defense and offense to give us the edge. And that's what NBA basketball is all about. That's why they grade things out of 100 possessions. How consistently can you run the exact set, in his words, work the game? And right now, he doesn't see professionals willing to grind every day. Like, Luka gets up, he's playing this great first quarter. The next thing you know, and it happened night one in the NBA season against the Suns. The big smile, and we're all playing. Well, guess what? If you tee around in the second and third quarters with a big lead, and the other team is working the game slowly but surely, every couple of minutes you look up and there's another bucket that they've eaten off your lead, and after 20 minutes it was all gone. And I think right now for Jason Kidd, it's incredibly frustrating. And and it's going to be awesome to watch. Can he get this thing back on track, or will the frustration build? Because if the frustration builds, this is just the beginning. We haven't even seen Kyrie Irving get frustrated yet. We haven't seen any of the distraction of that. Who knows what Christian Wood might say as he goes into free agency? Like, the toxicity is just in its infancy right now. Another month, 5-6 weeks of struggles, and this could be the team that everybody's talking about as we go into the offseason that needs to be blown up. So, right now, if you're the front office, if you're Nico, if you're Mark Cuban, you have to be thinking, we're entering a crucial period of these next 6 weeks. It could be, hey, we need some tweaks, or holy cow, we might need a new roster and a new head coach. Anything to add to that, guys?
Hey, they got to get the defense figured out. I'm hopeful that the offense will, especially in the late game situations with Kyrie and Luka, that will all get itself fixed. And then getting Maxi Kleber back will certainly help things. But when your defense is as bad as it is, nothing else really even matters. And especially the effort stuff. And I wonder if, it feels like Luka's got a lack of effort defensively, even more so than usual. And I'm like, okay, is this his way of saying, like, kind of believe you, Jason Kidd, right now? I don't know what the deal is, but as long as the defense is as bad as it is, and again, hopefully Kleba helps it, but I don't know how much you can depend on him helping it enough to get where it needs to be, because it needs to get significantly better, man. The amount of paint points they give up is just ridiculous, because they don't have the rim protection, and they don't have the perimeter defense. It's just, it's a disaster.
I'll tell you what the answer isn't, and I'm fully convinced of this now, Brian. Christian Wood is not the answer. More Christian Wood is not the answer.
No, that's not going to be the case. And if you talk to people at the Mavs, they'll flat tell you that. I'm always one of these guys trying to learn the game and watch the game, and then I say, man, Christian Wood did this. Christian Wood, oh no, he missed this tonight. He did this bad. He did this bad. And it never. It's very rare that I ever hear anything very, very positive about that whole experience. And it's, it's like when he doesn't play, it's like, see, we did better tonight. We did things better tonight, and you're kind of like, oh, okay. So the Christian Wood, I think it was a really, really rough off season for Nico and for Jason when it comes to adding these players. And
that's a really good point.
And we'll see what happens with Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving might be the cherry on top if he walks away to the Dallas Mavericks and the type of offseason that they had, or adding players to this roster.
Yeah, they might need to totally blow it up. It'll be fascinating to see how this plays out down the stretch. Okay, we got to run. Get Right coming up next. We'll see what Reggie and KG have cooking for you here on a Monday night in the G-Bag Nation. Tolos, it is time to give yourself permission to get back to being you physically, mentally, emotionally. Let's get up for the gym. Let's get up for the big pitch at work, or coaching your son's baseball team, a golf round with the guys. What do you need more energy, focus, and drive for? Men's T Clinic can get you that focus and that mood when you aren't feeling like yourself. You're going to be amazed. And it's not just about testosterone replacement therapy. It is about optimizing your total men's wellness, plus discreet and highly effective sexual wellness offerings, weight loss, muscle mass optimization, hair vitality, and so much more. Men's T Clinic is the absolute authority for total wellness optimization for every man. They've been here in DFW a long time. The teams in North Dallas and Frisco, and North Frisco, the Colony, Grapevine, led by Kelly Cook. That's my main man over there. They're going to get such great care and expert care for you with flexible hours. Saturday appointments are available. Cash and insurance options, guys. So if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I got the cash to do it, if you have insurance, menstclinic.com, get the location nearest you. You want to look at your muscle mass and your water weight and your baselines for all sorts of important numbers like blood pressure and cholesterol. It's not just about the testosterone at Men's T Clinic. They're going to get you so dialed in. You're going to be feeling great about your quality of life now and your longevity of life as well. 972-GO-MEN'S T, menstclinic.com. Salute.
Coming up Tuesday morning on Sean and RJ, we'll update the Mavs drama before taking